What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActionMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today, I'm doing Disney's Descendants, The Rise of Red. This is a new film on Disney Plus, and unlike the big screen, Big City Greens movie, which does not have audio description, this does have audio description. It's done by Deluxe, narrated by Laura Post. And today I've got a purple hat on backwards, got sunglasses on, and I'm wearing a Thor t-shirt. So, I watched another Descendants film. If you're watching this the same day, you also see that I did a second look of Descendants. It's the only Descendants movie I've ever seen. I really don't want to watch 2 and 3. I didn't really want to watch this, except for I try to stay up to date on things that get released and have audio description. 2 and 3 have audio description. I feel like at some point in my life, I'm going to feel compelled to review and watch their audio description. I love you guys. So click like and subscribe. Disney's Descendants, The Rise of Red is the 4th film. It basically features none of the original cast. When I say basically, I'm pretty sure. There might be somebody standing off to the side who was in the first Descendants, but I didn't click on every single name in the cast to make sure that no one in here had ever appeared in a Descendants movie. But so the plot at the beginning opens up much oddly enough, like the first Descendants movie, where it explains the concept to you of how these worlds work. And I'm like, do we do this every movie? The world is this, and then Belle and Beast got married, and then the villains were separated, and then so and this happened, and it's catching you up. But they catch you up from the very beginning, so they don't catch you up from the last film. And honestly, I don't think they catch me up from 2 and 3. They basically catch me from 1, the plot of 1. But I guess the explanation is that the other characters are off sailing to find other worlds. I don't know. Basically, they don't want to come back. So our narrator slash original leader of this thing is Uma, who is the daughter of Ursula. Again, I brought this up in the other review. Do they not have 2-parent households ever? They're all son of or daughter of one person. This is the kind of thing that you would do for a 4-year-old when you don't want them to ask about sex or where do kids come from. They come from storks. We just materialize them out of thin air. I think the target demo for Descendants understands that they have probably a lot of them have a mom and a dad, maybe 2 moms, 2 dads. I don't know. Maybe they have divorced parents, so they have a stepmom, a stepdad, and a mom and a dad. A whole thing. I don't know, but they fucking know it takes 2 to tango here. You know what I'm saying? So this whole thing that they keep doing in the Descendants franchise is ridiculous, and it's daughter of, son of one person. And they kind of even do it here for characters that have another partner. Here we have the big draw for this film, and why everybody's going fucking nuts, is that Brandy Norwood's back as Cinderella. So from the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella that they did for The Wonderful World of Disney in the 90s, that she did with Whitney Houston. So she's back. And so she's the Cinderella now that's, I guess, canon in this world. And she definitely had a prince, if you've seen that movie. So her daughter, Chloe, has a father, but she's always referred to as daughter of Ella. You know what I'm saying? Daughter of Cinderella. And I don't get it. I'm struggling. You know what I'm saying? I can't, I can't with this. Because okay, so the Brandy casting is for adults, right? Because That's who would be excited about it. Most kids would not be excited to see Brandy again because they're not from, like, she's not theirs. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not from their time, their generation. They don't listen to Brandy music, unless their parents are just like super dope into like R&B and pop, and they're like, we're gonna make you listen to the old stuff from back in the day. Here's some Moesha. Watch this show. I just don't think that like the target demo for this movie, the real target demo. So it's like they're expecting like, if we put Brandy in this, the parents will watch it too. And it's like, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think that's a stretch. But if you do put them in here, you have to remember there were more people in that movie other than Brandy. Like, obviously, we can't bring back Whitney Houston. I get that. But she did have a prince. He was there. He did exist. He was a real person. There is a Prince Charming. So, again, I don't know why she has one person representing her. This is a thing that the whole franchise does. They just like, especially for the villains. It's like really prominent for the villains because the villains don't get paired off. So they're like hesitant to give a villain to anybody. But unfortunately for this film, I should say, the villain is the Queen of Hearts, because what Uma does is she opens up. See, I actually did watch this movie, by the way. We're getting into it. She opens up the opportunity, because she comes from the villain side anyway. So she, liked the fact that she was invited to come to the school. So she wants to invite everybody from every realm to come to the school. And they're like, okay. And she's like, even Wonderland. And they're like, not Wonderland. And we're like, okay. So obviously Wonderland is. So, the Queen of Hearts is obviously the main villain of Wonderland. And easy explanation, usually there's a King of Hearts. He can be dead, but that would give Red so much depth. Would have been like if she had had lines like, Dad would have supported me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like, it's so much more resonant. But no, fucking, she's just materialized from one person, just like every other person in this franchise. She's just, it's just like an egg. How did the Queen of Hearts get red? Well, she laid an egg. That's what happened. How did she fertilize that egg? I don't know. Don't ask questions. It's just, I don't know how these kids come into existence, but they're always like of one person. And this was the easiest setup, and it could have actually really given Red depth as a character, because she has this dynamic with her mom. Like, her mom is very, like, she's very bitchy, and she says nasty. She's played by Rita Ora, by the way. I want to hype that up, because Disney obviously thinks by putting Rita Ora and Brandy in here that adults will come. Yeah, she clearly, there's disdain in her for everything around her. And then Red sort of realizes she's being used, because her mom's like, yeah, you can go, and let me take you to school. And then she uses it as like a coup to take over the realm. There's a lot of this like mother-daughter dynamic between the two of them, about how Red feels, having to constantly seek her mother's approval and rarely ever getting it. Oh my God, it would have been so nice if you had hinted that there was a King of Hearts at some point, just with a couple little lines, like, Dad would have understood. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like, oh my God, so much depth here. And the most depth this film has is when they have a tribute for Cameron Boyce, who passed away. Uma looks at like a photo of him or something like that on the wall, and she's just like, he would have wanted it that way. And that's the moment. That is the tribute. His photo. He was, I think, the son of Cruella DeVille. I don't know. Anyway, back to this film. There's some history between the Queen of Hearts and Cinderella, who played a prank on the Queen of Hearts back in the day, and Queen of Hearts still hates Cinderella, so it's like off with her head. Don't worry, it's a Disney movie. She's not getting decapitated. Um, Instead, their daughters are like arguing temporarily, and the uh, Red has this watch from the White Rabbit that, well, it sends them back in time. I don't know how else to describe that. It does a thing. It's like magical, and it sends them back in time. So now the film actually gets interesting because you have Red and Chloe, who are children of, back in time with the parents, who are the actual like heroes and villains, the actual princes and princesses, instead of being of anything. So um they get to interact, and what they have to try to do is stop this prank from happening, so that way Red's mom doesn't isn't bitter her whole life. And they see sort of this weird dynamic, and they see these people, and obviously they're frenemies basically, and lots of songs happen. All of the music is terrible, but I'm sure kids like it. I just wish they liked better music. Can't you guys like music with like singing, actual like you people sing? Some of these people have nice voices, but they let them run, like be run through auto tune so that they can sound like they're, I don't know, robots for you. Like that's why do you like that? Like I know I sound like an old man, but like I stopped listening to pop music when autotune started proliferating into a way where it wasn't just being used for pitch correction anymore. It was being used as like a, I don't need my voice to sound unique. I need my voice to sound like autotune. And that's honestly, that's what autotune does, is it takes the uniqueness out of anybody's voice, and it just makes everybody sound exactly the same. Um, and it loses that. Like I lose, that's why I don't like it. It's not like, it's like a cool thing. Like when you use it occasionally, it's like, okay, that's fine. But when people just like hold down auto tune, and they all sound like robots the whole time, it just sounds gross. Um, Everybody complained about Emma Watson and Beauty and the Beast. I don't know why they used pitch correction on her the whole time. But yeah, this is even more obvious. They're really trying to. These songs are just really over the top. There's some hip hop, rap type songs thrown in there. Rita Ora and her daughter have this really just god awful song where they, and I think Brandy and Chloe go back and forth uh, in this song that's like exposition dump rap. It's, I hated that song. And I was like, I was almost here for, I was like, oh my God, they're rapping. And then I was like, what are they rapping about? And it's like, yo, we got to go over here because we got to do this. And if we don't do this, then we're going to be here. And I was like, oh my God, it's like one of those raps. Like, it's, it sounds so terrible. um, like real rap stars would watch this and they'd be like, I quit. I quit. Um, eh, Listen, if your kids want to watch this, let them watch this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not like inherently woke or anything like that. Not that I worry about things like that, but I feel like everybody nowadays is like looking for that in movies. They're like, is it? Oh my God! I was like, I didn't catch anything that people would. Although you can use it just generically at anything. Um, just that tree over there looks pretty woke to me. It's just whatever. It just means nothing anymore because it's so overused. Um, so yeah, there's, I don't know. There's, watch the film, don't watch the film. I don't think anybody cares. I don't know who this film is made for because, again, obviously they want you to know who Brandy is, but that's the big draw. And they're like, oh, we got Brandy back. Well, then the adults would care. The people who actually watched the movie when it came out in Wonderful World of Disney. People who actually know who Brandy is. It's not like Brandy's like popping off every 5 seconds with like a new thing for kids. You know, she's not like popular with the generation. I bet if I found like if I could pull like a room of like middle schoolers and put her face up and I was like, who is this? None of them would know. You know? Especially if none of them had seen this movie. I'd be like, who is this? They might be like, oh, she's in that Descendants movie. Do you know why she's in the Descendants? No, I don't. There might be one girl in the back who's like, I think she was in a Cinderella movie. But do you know why? Do you know who she is? No. I don't think anybody knows. So, it's a weird demo to try to go after, to try to bring adults into Descendants. Be like, oh, my kids are watching Descendants. I heard Brandy's in that. I'm going to sit down and watch the 4th Descendants movie because of that. Audio description, listen, Disney's doing the same shit they always do, where, and this franchise is just kind of guilty of it anyway. And this is kind of just really obvious. I don't always know ethnicities of everybody, so I can't comment on, I didn't really comment on this on the first Descendants movie. Even though I've seen it, literally can't remember everybody in that film. So, they avoid, representation and diversity representation, actually saying, if like describing what somebody looks like ethnically, racially, skin color, anything, because I guess the theory here is that these characters could be anything, which is why they're cast diverse anyway, is that Cinderella just is. She's not necessarily one thing, she is. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cinderella isn't necessarily one thing. Like, she's like a Barbie doll, right? Like, she's all omnipotent. So there really isn't like a description here that would let you know that this cast has any sort of diversity in it at all, or any sort of representation. And I feel like the people that make those decisions are white. I do. I really feel like the people who make those decisions in large part are white. And it just kind of like, I want them, like, if this is okay with like, you know, other people of color, then cool. Like, but I think about like kids out there who, first of all, the amount of content that's audio described is limited. And if sighted kids are looking for representation, if we're worried about representation in media and what it looks like for sighted kids, well, imagine that shrinking to a very small percentage of content for blind and low vision kids that would use audio description. So, yeah, I think those kids still know what they are. I don't think like their parents hide. I don't think that there's like a blind black kid out there who their parents are like, I don't know what you're talking about. Race is not a thing. You're blind. You know, like, I don't think that's a thing. I think they probably had to tell him, you know, how the world works. And so he's like, well, is there anybody else that looks like me? I don't know. I don't hear. Do these characters look like me? You know, just like that exploration of like, where do I fit into this world? I think is really always important. And for a film that's about fitting in and is about accepting everybody as they are, whether you're a hero or a villain or from the past, present, or future, it is kind of odd that we can't find ways of letting people know that we see you and you are represented in this film. But Disney does this. I watched Percy Jackson, which is like a huge, diverse series that they dropped, did really well for them. Not a single person in that cast was ever mentioned or even hinted at as to what they may or may not look like, aside from their character. Everybody was just said, this is their character. What do they look like? I don't fucking know. You know, I don't know. So, yeah, they dodge it a lot. They really do. And I'm not really sure that it makes the most sense. When they can't dodge it, they'll address it. Like when they absolutely cannot dodge it, then they have to address it, they'll address it. But when it gets to stuff like this, it's like they're afraid to address it. You know, they're afraid to admit that that they've, given you a different version, for a kid that watched the animated Cinderella and then watch this, like, they don't want to like confuse them. Cinderella in the animated cartoon was white, but Cinderella in this is black. I don't understand. It's so hard to comprehend. But yet they're willing to do it because financially it makes sense and they get diversity points. And the thing is, sighted kids can see the difference and their head didn't explode. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so there are not sighted kids out there that are like crying in the theaters, like watching The Little Mermaid. They're like, I don't know. I seen the movie and I don't understand what happened to her skin. Like, it's like they fucking just know. Like, they're cool with it. Like, it's just kids. So all you're doing is you're segregating blind kids and thinking that they're too stupid to be able to make some sort of correlation that sighted kids are able to make. Because sighted kids can look at a film and go, oh yeah, okay, I see what you're doing there. Cool. I like it. Blind kids apparently are like, if we tell them, oh my God, something might happen. What might happen? We don't know. We've never tried. Like, and it's actually kind of offensive. So, and that's always the thing that Disney doesn't understand whenever they create this like separatist audio description, is that you're basically saying that blind people are stupid, incompetent, or unable to like follow simple like trains of thoughts in film. And I think kids can follow this. So if a sighted kid is offered the same information, then a blind kid should be offered the same information. So if you're going to go for diversity, we should know what that diversity is in the audio description. If it mattered enough for you to cast it that way, it should matter enough for the audio description to transfer it that way. So anyway, this franchise is whatever. I don't know. I don't feel fair like just being like F. I don't know. It's fine. The actual story, if there was no music in this, I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more. Just be totally honest. If this was not a musical and this was just a story, the story here is cute. But unfortunately they put music into it, which is, I gotta say, I don't know what the kids listen to do these days. But please find singers. Please find people who can sing. Anyway, so Brandy sings for like a little bit, and like I heard her voice, and it didn't sound like she was auto-tuned. And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you, thank you for singing." I'm gonna give Descendants: The Rise of Red. I'll give it a C. I gave Descendants a C. Whatever. These films are probably all like a C. It's not. Yeah, they're for kids anyway. Don't be mistaken by the casting of Brandy. She's not in the film that much. She's in like the beginning and the end of the film. So, you won't get to see her that much. It's a gimmick. They're trying to trap you adults into this film with Brandy and Rita. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.